back to At Home with Chic and Grace. So I have a basket of pumpkins here, and I actually had started filming this a couple weeks ago, and then I didn't finish before I went on a camping trip. So I took my pumpkins camping with me and I painted them there. So it never got finished being filmed, but I'm going to recreate it for you today. So these two pumpkins here, like this gourd and this little pumpkin, are from last year, not last year, like years ago. They're just painted with some white chalk paint, and then I dry brushed some rose gold on them. They still fit in my decor very well, but the rest of them used to be some color of teal, like these. And I don't decorate with that anymore, so everybody got a makeover. Colors I use is Cashmere from Fusion, Iron Clay from Fusion, Algonquin from Fusion, and Chocolate from Fusion. And I used a few different things. I used some baking soda to get texture on a lot of them, and then this one's got some too, so does this one. These ones don't. I just did some quick dry brushing on them. I did some antiquing, some splattering, and I did some coffee staining on some of them too. I actually painted probably a couple dozen pumpkins in all shapes and sizes all over my house. So I will show photos of that at the end of the video. But what I'm going to do is I've got these gourds that I never finished, or well, they just never got included in the painting that weekend. And the other day I glued some leaves on them from the Hello Pumpkin IOD mold. I had some leftovers after I had done casting, so I decided to put them on there. And then I thought this is a perfect time to show you what I did to achieve this look. Some of them I left a little bit more white. Those ones are upstairs, and I did like do them this color, but then I put some wax, white wax over top of them and got them to be a little bit lighter. But this is them. I know this guy's missing his stem. I will have to glue one on there. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and then we are going to get started with these gourds. Okay, so you can use sea spray, you can use some, oh goodness, what's the fusion one called? Fresco, or baking soda. Mix it into your paint and just start brushing it on, stippling it. I just did it in random motion. So I'm going to get that mixed up and then I'll be back. Okay guys, so I found a couple more that we're going to do. This guy and this guy, I already started painting him. So I have mixed up equal parts of cashmere and baking soda. I'm just using an old, well actually it's not old, it's just a cheap brush from the hardware aisle in the dollar store. That way if I wreck it by not cleaning it well, then it's okay. All I'm doing is stippling this on. You may need 2 coats depending on what the color is underneath. And I like stippling because it gives you some of those raised areas. Now, on some other spots, like these smoother pumpkins, let's do this guy. You might want to do cross-hatching instead. You'll get a really, really nice like texture doing that. You don't always have to stipple. I love that cross-hatching look, especially when we go to wax or dry brush over top of that. And so with these leaves, normally I would paint these before they dry. So these ones have a little bit of cracking in them. I am a-okay with that. I will probably, not actually sure what color I'm going to do them yet. I don't know if I'm going to do them the same color as the gourd. and keep it kind of all neutral, or if I'm going to change it up. I hadn't actually thought about that. So I guess we'll find out. But if I do paint them with this, I don't want to lose the detail in there, so I might just use some paint that doesn't have the baking soda in it. Okay. This guy will definitely take 2 coats. And I don't care if I get it on the stem because we're going to paint the stems. And in fact, if you get a little bit on there, the way I painted my stems, like to freshen them up, I just ran a little bit of the chocolate over top of it. So having some of this kind of pop through just gave it some dimension. Okay, you know what? I think I'm just gonna carefully brush this on. I won't get a lot of texture from the baking soda if I flatten it out. So I'm just going to carefully just put a little bit of it on, and then I'll make a decision as to what I'm doing. But I kind of have an idea of what I want to do with these guys. So kind of got to let the bottom of that dry. Okay, I'm going to keep on painting these, and I will be back when they are all done. Okay, I have all of these painted up, and I didn't get full coverage on some of the leaves on this one, but that is just fine. Stems I do absolutely last. So I thought that we would start with this guy here, because I didn't do them all exactly the same from this point on. So he's got some good texture. I think you can kind of see that, but we're going to pull that texture out some more. And I'm using the iron clay, and we're going to just dry brush a little bit on him. And okay, we'll use this brush. Don't have a piece of paper towel beside me because I ran out, so I'm just going to use a towel here, and I'm just going to rub off as much as I can, and I'm just going to drag it over so you can see it. It's just going to pick up on those highlights. And I like this especially on the gourd, because you know how gourds can be bumpy and that. This really pulls out all that texture that we got from the baking soda and makes it look like a gourd. You do as much or as little as you want. It's going to get a coat of clear wax. He's getting clear wax all over him. And this will just also, I mean, they are done with Fusion, so a built-in sealer, but I always like to just add a little wax if I can. Okay, so I'm putting the clear on, and if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that I put clear on before I put my dark on, because it makes it easier to wipe your dark back if you are too heavy-handed. So you might think, oh, you're covering up all your dry brushing, but we're going to wipe some back. You can take a smaller brush too, and you can like concentrate this wax into the grooves on the gourd as well. Okay, so where's my paper? I am like totally out of paper towel here, and I didn't realize I was. Okay, I'll just use one of these ones, and we'll just wipe it back a little bit. You're not going to see a ton with this, but you will in some parts. It will get in there, and deepen up some of these darker spots. You could also choose to use black. Got a container of coffee grounds. And I have a brush here that I was using just for my coffee grounds. And you can have like a piece of palette sitting beside you. I've got a plate. This is like one of those paper plates that has like a wax coating or something on it. So I used a mixture of coffee grounds and instant coffee. So my instant coffee is got like a very much a cinnamon look. Oh my goodness, tripping over my words here. Okay, so all I did was with a wet brush. Actually, a lot of times what I liked, whoops, I've done that several times. I like to put like a little puddle of water here. Makes it nice and easy to get that color from that instant coffee. So we're gonna rub this on. Get it nice and down in there. And then this can kind of get a little bit messy, but I like to really get into those grooves. And if you're working on a bigger pumpkin, do this in smaller sections. Okay, and then you can use a paper towel. You can also use a baby wipe if you really want to wipe more of that back. Like I like to leave it in those grooves. And we're gonna add some more definition into here. With some waxes. So you can kind of see it coming together. You can see the difference. Let's get the bottom done here. Doesn't take long to dry at all. So let's get this guy done. We're doing the same thing. So that one I painted with Cashmere, and this one is also done with Cashmere as well. Let's put a little bit more water on here. I'm also going to go ahead and do this one. And this one was done, I painted him in Algonquin. So I'm just going to do the same thing on both of these. And, oh, and then this one is the iron clay. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on both of those. Okay, these are all dry, and I've just gone ahead and put a layer of clear wax all over them. So for these two here that I had painted with the Cashmere, they have white wax or clear wax on them. But if you wanted them to look more white, you could take Casement and dry brush over top of them, just like we did with this guy. You can, my clear wax is actually drying a little white there. Normally I would get rid of that, but I like it, so I'm leaving it there. But anyhow, You could dry brush this white. This one's really, really white. Some of the other ones that I showed you just had some highlights of white dry brushed on them. I'm not going to do that with these ones because I like the way that they are looking, but I am going to put some white wax on them after. So right now I'm going to take my dark wax because I've already got my clear wax on, and I suggest working in sections when you're doing this, and then you can make it as dark or as light as you want. Got to get a lot down in the top there by the stem. And then when I'm working with my round brush here, all I do is squash out my tip a little bit and put it in the grooves here. And if you're having problems getting that off the way you want it, clear wax, you can also go in instead of paper towel, and that will help you move it around a little bit more. Okay, so this is how this guy's looking. He's looking a little dirty. I just want to get my bottom done. Okay, so now what I want to show you is some white wax. Oh, I got a little bit too much on there. Okay. I like to take this white wax and just kind of lightly brush it over the top. And I like to just start with a little, wipe it back some, and then build up. I don't want too much of it on there. I just want to have a little bit more highlights to my pumpkin. So what I find is that sometimes I have to put this white wax on and then let it dry a little bit more and then wipe it back. Don't go too, don't let it dry too much, because then you will have a harder time wiping it back. But so while we're moving on to the next one, I am just going to set this guy aside before we wipe him back. Like, that looks so good, so good. I am probably going to hit this with a tiny, tiny little bit of white. Now, I am just going to randomly do some of this brown wax and then rub it back, because I really like that coffee look and I want to be able to keep some of that coming through. Now, I did, just pull my plate over here. You could still take some of your coffee and rub it back on in some spots too, over top of your wax. In fact, I find that the wax actually helps it to stick nicely. So, and if you let this kind of dry a little bit, it gets a little on the sticky side, and you can just rub your finger in there and look how good that looks. Might not need any white wax, we'll see. And if you get this too heavy, just grab baby wipe and wipe some of it back. Yep, I'm liking that a lot. So baby wipe to help move it around if it's a little heavy in some spots. Looks so good. Let's just hit it with a teeny tiny bit of white on that leaf, just so that it highlights it, and we can just randomly do that around the body too. Oops, we need, it's a little bit too much. You can do so much just with the waxes. Like, look at how good that's looking. Okay, I'm gonna set that guy aside. And let's do this one. So he, again, has had his clear wax, and I'm really liking all this coffee bits that I've seen here, but so we're gonna try to maintain some of that. I'm not going to go as full coverage on this one as I did at the top of that pear. And I'm just going to be a little bit more random. These are all dry, and I have just started painting the stems. I'm just using chocolate brown. What I'm doing is, this is a good one. I've got one more to show you here, but I mean, it's really simple. There, like, the stem had a lot of this color on it, and I just lightly brushed over it so you could still see some of that color that was underneath. This one didn't have as much, so he ended up being a little bit more solid, and that's okay. This one too had a lot of this iron clay. You can still see some of that coming through. So you can see how this guy's got like a lot of, there, you can see that side better. Like, it's a lot of this color, and I want to use that to my advantage and just really lightly just brush over them. I don't want full coverage. I want those to come through as some highlights. Once that's dry, we will then, you can come through with different colors, with like the Cashmere, the Algonquin, and just dry brush over top of them, but I'm actually leaving them just like this. So one final thing that I like to do is, oh, and I put my lid back on. I spattered them all with a little bit of chocolate and a little bit of Cashmere. I might have done Casement actually. You could do either. Probably do Cashmere today. And I just want a chippy brush. So let me pull this palette paper in so you can see how I'm mixing this up. So if I take, I've got a dry brush here. You can wet your brush a little bit, but I like to have a dry brush and a little bit of paint here and add some water. Do this with a toothbrush, and if you don't want paint all over, you should probably put a glove on, like all over your fingernails. You should put a glove on, and then you're going to spatter. Always do a test someplace. All right, guys, I think I'm done. So I'll come back with some styling videos, or some styling, and show you how I put these all together. And then again, here's the one with the casement. You can see just how bright the casement is compared to the cashmere. But they all look good. Like, I've got some that are painted this color that I'm decorating with, and they all look good because I like my white. But I had no idea I was going to actually do these. I thought everything was going to be more like this. But I'm loving how this came together. Oh, no, you know what? I actually also spattered these white ones with some of the coffee. That instant coffee works really good for spattering. So there's another idea that you can do too. So just play with your colors, mix them up, but like, you can get so much done with just those waxes and add such great detail with that coffee. All right, thanks guys. See you again next time. Bye.